Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing the updated tier list for, not really a tier list, but I guess the skill prioritized tier list. I guess it is a tier list. But especially now that they giving out the skill uninstallers, this type of video might be very helpful for a lot of the people who wanna, fix up their skills and stuff like that. So we haven't really updated this since, obviously, the Bunny Girls. So we do have 4 new characters here, right? Now, of course, disclaimer, when it comes to every character in the game, ideally you're going to want to get everybody's skills up just because of CP, right? You get more CP when you upgrade everybody's skills, or you just get more CP of that character when you upgrade their skills, right? But this tier list is to go over, like, kind of just cover the skills that are most important, right? There's some characters that just don't need their skills upgraded. For example, I know a lot of people are looking at Senti. Why is there her burst 2 there, even though her skill 2 is not there, even though her skill 2 is very good? It's for the simple fact that even at level 10, it's equivalent to 6% of the caster's max HP. Anybody's gonna one-shot that regardless. So even if you keep, like, it doesn't, the value, if it still gets one-shotted by anybody at 6%, the value doesn't really matter, right? Because the whole purpose of it is just to nullify the attack regardless. It doesn't matter if it's 3%, like I told you. No matter if the shield is at 1 capacity or 10 capacity, if the boss does 1,000,000, it's just going to get nullified into whatever the capacity is, right? Because most people hit hard, that's why someone like Senti is there, right? So that's how it is for some of these characters and stuff like that. Obviously, we got recent buffs, and so we're going to also move around some of those. So I think Solene is one of those characters that her second skill and her burst skill, actually, if you are going to be using Solene, is a character that you want to level up their skills, right? I mean, it could be her whole kit now, right? Because she actually has so much value now. So you could give her all skills, right? Because attack speed, massive crit rate, crit damage, and then massive damage when you're at full HP. With her, like, now, ever since her buff, she's just risen up to the ranks. Right, and I want to say it's kind of the same thing with Guillotine. I don't know if I would honestly say to build up Guillotine, though. She is good now. I mean, she's okay, decent enough, but I wouldn't say she's, like, new best character in the game. Like, her and Solene's buffs. Solene definitely got a massive buff. Guillotine, or whatever her name is. She got a buff, but it wasn't, like, anything crazy where it's like, okay, now you need to upgrade. Right, at least for me. So I'm going to keep her there. And then everybody else that got a buff is already there. So let's start off with someone like Rosanna, who is the newest out of the 4. So obviously, Rosanna, PvP-based character. Not somebody you need to level up whatsoever. Honestly, I don't even really need to go over her skills. I mean, I can, but essentially she's a PvP character. This is if you need to. She has no value to the game whatsoever. Barely any value to PvP itself, and then just no value overall to PvE. So there's no reason for you to even invest in this. Rosanna should literally be one of the last characters you ever invest into, right? Unless you plan on getting her high investments, right? But if you're wondering what skills to buff up for this character, then for her second skill, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Her second skill is like the only skill you want to get. I guess her second skill and the burst skill. So I have tiers, right? All skills: skill 1 and burst, skill 2 and burst, skill 1 and 2, skill 1, skill 2 and burst. Makes it, I know, somewhat complicated, but it's easy to understand, right? If they're in skill 1 and 2, that means you're only getting up their skill 1 and 2. Their burst skill is not really doing much for you, right? I would still recommend to get up all the skills, like I said in the beginning, but that's how it really is, right? So for her, you could give her skill 2 and her burst, right? Since you want her burst to really just nuke everybody there. Her first skill doesn't matter one bit, really. But yeah, her burst skill and her skill 2, that's what you're going to want to level up if you decide to for her, right? But yeah, again, she's still if you need to. She's just a bad character. Now, Mary. I would highly recommend for Mary, you really only build up her first skill, right? Her first skill, I feel like, because her second skill doesn't really matter. It's not gonna do enough, because right now water code allies is just not, like, strong element water code allies is just not the team. Well, there's not enough good DPSs in water code, and under the attacker level, like, if we go under the water attacker category, who's the DPS here, right? Helm, Privity. Like, Privity is a support. Helm is a support. Vesti, Viper, Neve's like probably the best one here, to be honest. DPS wise, Neve might be the best. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So it's not really something that you really need to prioritize with that type of character, but I would say definitely her first skill is so beneficial for your account and the game, and probably her burst skill. But yeah, I mean, really, it's I'm gonna say skill 1 and her burst skill. Her second skill is just ignore it completely as of right now. But again, if you want more CP, then go level up all the skills. I'm not gonna keep saying that. Like I said that multiple times. You guys are gonna understand that now, right? But if you are using her burst skill, then this is a very good effect right here. The recover HP or increase the max HP by 27%. That's if you plan on using her burst skill. If you do not plan on using her burst skill, then only her skill 1, right? If you only plan on using her for the heals, then only her skill 1. If you plan on using her burst skill, then increase her skill 1 and her burst skill, right? Because remember, you just have to enter a full burst, you get the heals. So her first skill, of course, main priority, right? So yeah, there's that. And now for who is this? Neon. Neon is a character that is where is she? Okay, she's like supposed to do damage, but she just doesn't hit hard enough, right? In reality, you're gonna want to level up all her skills in reality, but if you need to, which you don't need to, right? The characters here and if you need to are characters where they're just not really usable in much content, right? You're just not gonna need them whatsoever. Oh, actually, Novel is here. Actually, let me fix that. Novel in if you need to needs to change her burst skill for sure, right? Novel is a character you definitely want to build up her burst skill, especially since when it comes to bosses, because of this massive damage taken if her defense buff is fully stacked up, right? Which you're going to guarantee stack up. If you want the defense, you can have it. It's not that big of a deal. But really, this part of her skill, you definitely want it for bosses, right? So let me make sure I correct that right there. Novel, you definitely want to upgrade her burst skill. And then again, for Neon, she's just a character that doesn't benefit the game whatsoever. You would think against fire enemies and stuff like that, she'd do okay. I mean, she does if you fully invest into her, but right, if you fully invested, that's why I say if you need to, right? That's if you're going to fully invest into her. I wouldn't recommend it whatsoever. Literally every character above her, maybe only Rosanna is the only one I would say like not, but everybody above her I would recommend to build them up before you even touch the to be honest. So there's that. And then obviously the brand new Nero. I haven't like ranked her yet in her actual tier list, right? Which is fine. I'm gonna do that soon. But this character is a character that's very, very good all around, right? Technically, you do want all her skills leveled up, right? I think she's a character that is still very good. The only problem is she works with only like Rapunzel. That's the only problem. But realistically, this is a kit where skill 1, skill 2, and burst skill, you have to level them up because they all just kind of play a role. Right, the first skill is the most important, but obviously the second skill for that massive HP buff, and then the burst skill for the taunt, right? You need to level this up to get to 15 seconds, and then the HP potency, which is more healing, basically. And then for obviously the first skill is damage reduction. So you definitely have to get up all her skills regardless. But if you like, if you're not using her, then obviously no. But if you plan on using her, if you have Rapunzel, I've done showcases and everybody has already mentioned it now, then all skills for sure, right? So yeah, this is really what I would prioritize, I think. Let me just double check to make sure, right? The Guillotine, I'm still like iffy on. I think I want to like let me like actually just consider Guillotine real quick. Okay, okay, her skill 2. I want to say her first skill is not needed, and her burst skill. Let's say skill 2 and her burst skill after buff, especially with this massive attack thing. Like this basically goes up to 1%, right? It's almost 1% for every 1% HP loss, right? And when your HP is below 50%, you're gonna guaranteed hit hard, especially with this massive attack buff now, right? So the Guillotine, we're gonna change her to skill 2 and burst skill, right? Her skill 1 is like, that's just not even needed. It's a 3% increase from 10 levels up. Like it's not even really worth it whatsoever. As long as you have this 30 normal attacks, that's all that matters. The crit rate is not that big of a deal, especially if it's only going up by 3% throughout 10 different levels, right? Maybe if it lowered HP, then it would be better, because then you could get this way better. Like you can get this here faster and it would make her stronger quicker. But because it doesn't do that, there's just no point. So This is like the buffed characters and also the new characters. These are the characters I would recommend to build up the skills right in the tier they're in. So again, if you need to, or for the characters that don't really need it, characters you're never going to really use, characters that don't have much value to general content. But if you do want to, then again, by all means, right, when it comes to burst skill, these characters really, you just need their burst skill leveled up. That's really it. Their second, people in skill 2, just their second skill. People in skill 1, just their first skill. People in skill 1 and 2, then those skills. People in skill 2 and burst, then those skills. In all skills, you just scale up all their skills, and the people in skill 1 and burst, you just build up those skills specifically, right? And that's how it usually is, for how I do it at least. So let me know what you guys think. Like I said in the beginning, I'm going to say again in the end, for the people who just skipped to the end. In disclaimer, you're going to want to, you know, build up everybody's skill at the end of the day for more CP, right? But these are just skills that you need to prioritize over the others. So for example, people in like Diesel, right? It says skill 1 and 2. Those are the skills you want to prioritize focusing on first before you work on her burst skill. That could be lasting. You can use her burst skill match on another character in the burst tier or anybody else that's in a burst tier, and then later on down the line you can build her up, right? So yeah, that's for the people who skip to the end. Make sure you guys subscribe and like. And yeah, that's it, bro. Really, this is probably how you want to use your skill in Solar, right? People in all skills are the most important characters, stuff like that. So yeah, boys, Zxous. So see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.